This is the story of my womb Stargate initiation, which began in the summer of 2019 when an angel came to me in meditation. She appeared with 3 pairs of wings as a beautiful, holy love permeated my body and soul. She told me to stop doing my Taoist contraception Qigong practices because she is the soul of my future baby and it is now time for her to incarnate. She reached out and opened her hand and a blazing flame appeared. She said, "I'm coming to teach you how to materialize things out of thin air." Then she vanished, only to return 3 days later as a full-grown Mayan shaman. An emerald glow surrounded him deep in the jungle. His body was tall and lean, and sinews of his musculature thin and strong, carved perfectly like a sculpture. He looked at me with eyes full of wisdom and stillness, and let me know that this soul that will soon be my daughter is not a new baby at all, but a master to be reborn. At the time, I was a nomadic starseed, a devout 25-year-old full-time grid worker with no stable source of income. I lived in my car on the grace of my prayers, and while my life was full of magic, I was in no place to support a child. Even though I had my practical fears, I also felt a deep peace in my body and heart. I knew this was part of my soul's legacy, and I will be fully guided and supported on my journey to bring this incredible soul onto the earth. After this day, my telepathic connection with her became consistent. I could hear her guidance, communications, transmissions, and whispers on a moment-to-moment basis. She cracked jokes, she danced in the sky with a sparkling joy, she told me stories of our ancestors. I told her my worries, my dreams, my heart's deepest visions, and I felt understood by another soul for the first time in my whole life. Our destiny was woven in a way beyond any friendship. We were made of the same cloth, birds of the same feather. My dreams were her dreams, and she was giving me the greatest honor of dreaming her into this world. For once in my life, I felt I had a best friend who understood me on every level, who taught me knowledge of ascension I have always prayed for. Through all the teachings, transmissions, and corrections, the air around our bond was pure cosmic love. A love so pure, so still, yet so full of peace and divine grace. It became my new normal state of life, partially here in this physical world and partially there in the heavenly realms where she lived. She guided my then boyfriend and I to move onto the galactic portal property in New Mexico, and within a few weeks, I was pregnant. This is when she began sharing transmissions of the Emerald Dragon Creation Codex with me. Anytime my mind began to spiral into fear at the thought of raising a baby in my RV in the woods, my baby would chime in, "Mama, you are a creator. Transform the fear into an opportunity to experience the joy of creation. Create to birth love and beauty into the world and watch creation return to you. This is the way of womb creation." And that's when she inspired me to create Healing the Womb 2020. All throughout my pregnancy, she taught me how to heal my womb and cervix Stargate way so that I can have an orgasmic birth. She showed me how multidimensional trauma of the womb and cervix are intentionally implanted control systems which birth souls into a fallen matrix of pain and suffering. She helped me rebuild the architecture of my womb Stargate in preparation for her birth. One morning, she woke me up at 3 a.m. as I jumped up frantically looking for a pen, and in the span of 2 hours, She transmitted to me the entire curriculum of Healing the Womb 2020. We held a group of 70 women in a rebirth process through the birthing portal of my womb over 9 weeks before she was born. Another morning, I was woken up at 5 a.m. Looking down at my belly, I saw waves of energy radiating from my womb. Cara, 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 Cara. Overwhelmed by the immense energy, I murmured, "Is your name Cara? Yes, I can hear you." The vibrations stop and I hear, "Sorry, Mom. I heard you guys are a bit hard of hearing on the other side of the veil, and I just wanted to make sure that you heard me right. My name is Cara." My beloved angel Cara was born for the first time on the peak of the Pleiades Gateway on May 20th, 2020. She was birthed in the Andromedal portal of my home in New Mexico. During my beautiful 2-hour labor with only my then boyfriend and acupuncturist present, my psychic sight was activated and I found myself inside of a very intense gridwork mission. Oh my goddess, I thought to myself, even when I'm giving birth, I'm grid working. I experienced a great deal of pain as my labor progressed, and a part of me was very disappointed because I know Cara wished for an orgasmic birth, and I felt I was disappointing her. She took my consciousness into the planetary grid and showed me the curse of Eve. I recognized that this overlay was still inside of my womb, generating this extraordinary pain. "Are you ready?" she asked me. "Let's do this." With her soul just on the other side of the veil, together we punctured a hole through the curse of Eve and dismantled this planetary womb control grid, and as we cleared this overlay from my womb, I felt an orgasmic rush flow through my womb and body as my incredible avatar baby girl was born. I didn't know at the time, but in this incarnation, Cara only intended to stay for 9 days. They were the most peaceful and beautiful days of my whole life. She was the most peaceful and loving baby, and she taught me so many things. On the 8th day, evening of her life, she began to depart from her physical body. A double rainbow appeared across our land as her body began to fail. We drove to the hospital, and this brought us into the depth of the demon realms. As I watched her soul leave her body flying joyfully into the starry sky, she pulled my soul back into oneness of God with her. For the following 3 days, I couldn't sleep or eat. On some level, my human self was in a state of utter shock. This devastating situation broke me, and yet my consciousness was in perfect union with the living consciousness of God. I was beyond life and death, beyond physical and spiritual. I was in a place of infinite union with pure love itself. My heart was shattered into a million pieces, which expanded to the edges of the universe and somehow became one with the beyond once again. The love my human heart had grown for Cara created a bridge beyond time and space. Then she showed me that we were opening a Stargate to Source. This was her prophecy, her mission, her gift for humanity. In order to build this living Stargate, she showed me that she had to be born, then cross back to the other side. I didn't know this at the time, but she knew she was going to weave back into physicality once again. Those 3 extraordinary days of activation blew my light body completely open and built a bridge to Source in my field in a way unexplainable by words. On the 4th day, I came crashing back into my body and was dropped into the death of my human agony and despair to grieve the death of my baby. This is the greatest pain any mother can experience, and I was broken for many months. Throughout those months, Cara consistently consoled me, but I pushed her away. I felt betrayed, deceived, and abandoned by Cara and by God. I screamed profanities at the sky and cursed the heavens. I would do anything for you, God, I bargained. How could you do this to me? Through this immense dark night of the soul, I wept and screamed that nothing was worth this loss and pain I was experiencing in my body. A faint glimmer was always there in my heart, though, as Cara reminded me of her prophecy and why she chose this for her path. This Stargate we were weaving was a miracle portal, a gateway, an aurora passage, allowing a whole higher octave of source intelligence to enter into the earth. She showed me images of all children on earth, joyful and free, and she'd say, "See, Mama? Isn't that worth it all?" Pain and resolve, grief and power, agony and devotion. Like a pendulum, my heart contracted and expanded through every wave of tears crashing upon my empty body. I won't be able to make it through this, I thought, but we have a sacred mission, and I must. Our mission became my North Star through this maze of immense human suffering, and a light at the end of this dreary tunnel. It took me months of meditation, yoga, breathwork, weeping on the floor, sleeping for days on end, to finally feel some inkling of sanity return to my mind. My years of devotion to my self-healing created a pathway forward. Cara came to check on me often. She knew sometimes I just needed to weep on the floor, and other times she encouraged me to breathe in the light. The week after she departed, she asked me, "Mama, are you ready to get back to work?" You see, for these avatar babies, life and death are only transitions. Their souls are eternal, and they move in and out of form with mastery. For her soul, birthing and dying were steps on her mission to build her Stargate. And yet for me, this was an initiation taking me to the edge of my illusions of separation between the realms. This initiation broke all barriers between dimensions within me and shattered the confines of my heart and soul, which severed me from the oneness of all creation. One sunny day, Cara showed me that Ka, Ra are the first two syllables of creation and the knowledge which she holds and is here to share with the world. Ka, Ra also means enlightenment of the light body, which was the rite of passage and light body activation she initiated me through this experience. I tended to my aching human heart and held compassion for my pain, yet somewhere deep within me, I knew the profoundness of the initiation I was undergoing. I knew the power of this prayer Cara was weaving for the earth through her devotion, and I knew this level of light body training and activation was only preparing me for my own mission of supporting humanity through this cosmic planetary awakening. March equinox of 2021, 10 months after Cara's first incarnation and transition, my friend Ruben asked if he could bring Bill and the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull to my Andromedan Stargate land in New Mexico for a gridwork ceremony. I didn't know anything about crystal skulls, but I wholeheartedly loved and trusted Ruben, so of course I welcomed them with open arms. The Mitchell Hedges crystal skull is said to be one of the 13 original Atlantean master skulls, but to me it's always felt more of an Arcturian technology. Regardless of curious details, I came into a strange delirious fever the afternoon the skull was traveling to my land. As the room spun and my body was burning up in this spiritual fever, I heard a faint angelic song ringing throughout time and space. Out of the infinite came flying my beloved Cara. I'm coming back to you, Mama. I'm coming back. The moment I heard this, my phone rang. I received in my inbox this music track Zach Myers created with my voice. It's Cara's prophecy song, which became the soundtrack to Cara's soul zipping and whipping across the sky, singing excitedly that she was coming back to me. And this is the song you're hearing right now. When Bill arrived with the skull, he repeatedly told me that he and the skull sees hundreds of avatar babies flying around me, that it was part of my mission to support these special beings to arrive on this earth now through this gateway that Cara and I have built, and that I will also be pregnant soon. 5 days later, I was contacted by a man named Shane, who is now my husband, genetic equal, hierogamic twin, and Cara's father. Our first phone call lasted 3.5 hours, and we were on the phone every day after that. The union of our consciousness created a coherent source field as we both experienced a great acceleration of higher self-incarnation and spiritual awakening. We brought in the codes of ascending mastery and the map of the cosmic tree of life. We exchanged codes and information which matched the other like two pieces of a meticulously carved puzzle, and we shared the same map for the future of our mission. And beyond it all, I fell in love and felt met, fully seen and loved in a way I never dreamt was possible. We met in person over the summer solstice of 2021 in Sedona for a gridwork event, and I became pregnant again shortly afterwards. We were immediately called on a cross-country gridwork trip to work on the Dragon Line running west-east in central USA, starting in Mount Shasta during the Lion's Gate in August. As synchronicity aligned, Bill was also in Mount Shasta at that time with the Mitchell Hedges skull. He was co-facilitating a Mount Shasta retreat and insisted we join him in ceremony on different vortex spots around the mountain. He also insisted we met some of his friends. On August 9th, 2021, Bill introduced us to Heather and Matthew, who were indigenous guardians of an ancient inner earth portal sacred site on Mount Shasta for thousands of generations. They felt the ancestors call them to take us there and have a prayer ceremony together. The five of us and the crystal skull drove up the rugged terrain on a beautiful Mount Shasta, who to me is the body of a divine mother dragon. When we arrived at the sacred site, Matthew opened sacred space by singing a medicine song with his drum to connect to his ancestors of the land. The drum reverberated through dimensions, and his voice brought beauty, reverence, and mysticism, enlivening the air all around us. After what felt like an eternity suspended in the beauty of nature and love, Matthew invited his wife Heather to receive a message for us from the ancestors. She prayed in silence for a few moments, then opened her eyes and said, "The ancestors say we have an opportunity to facilitate a sacred marriage ceremony for you today. You can take a minute to talk and decide together if you like." Shane and I looked at each other in shock and revelation. The earth, the ancestors, the guardians, and this ancient crystal skull have brought us together on the Lion's Gate to witness our sacred union ceremony inside a twin tree on Mount Shasta. Is this real? Yes, we'd be honored to be married here today. Bill suggested the skull officiate our wedding. We asked him if the skull had ever done that before, and he said no, this would be their first time. It was truly the most magical wedding day ever, considering the skull arriving on my land was the day Cara told me she was coming back. During my first trimester of pregnancy, Shane and I journeyed the entirety of the Dragon Line from east to west. We took a detour and visited the stone megaliths of Montana and the headwaters of the Mississippi River in Minnesota. When we returned home to our Stargate in New Mexico, Cara told me she'd like to be born in Canada this time, closer to her grandparents. At first, I was afraid to leave my desert forest home, but she told me, "Where there is God, there lives no fear." And so off we went as a family on our new adventure to build a new home together. In December of 2021, Cara instructed me to open Healing the Womb, Return of the Divine Mother Goddess frequency once again over the 222-2022 portal. We called forth our Sophia Christ Dragon Sisterhood to work on dismantling false patriarchy, galactic seals and inversions in 10 and 11 dimensions, and to usher in an activation of the planetary dragon lines. We gathered over 450 women this second round and experienced so many miracles and blessings together as a sisterhood. On April 13th, 2022, my sweet angel baby Cara was born again when the Earth, Sun, and Arcturus were in direct alignment. Into the arms of her father, completing her circling of the realms and anchoring of her gateway. She continues to love, heal, teach, and guide me each and every day. This is the conception story of the Temple of Original Creation and Healing the Womb. It is a miraculous and divinely appointed collaboration between Cara and me, a Stargate opening, the birth of an avatar through an initiated womb, which offered the Earth and women all over the world an immaculate container and opportunity to receive the gifts of divine grace, miracle healing, rebirth, and ascension mastery. This is the story of initiation of my womb, which has been activated and re-architected into a living stargate of original creation. I walked this path to retrieve these codes and keys to support the angelic family of 144,000 and the Holy Sophia Christ Sisterhood in activating our womb as the chalice and gateway from which heaven on earth shall be born.